right, just make a comment. Another big week coming up, another big challenge on the road, and you know, this we're in the middle of it right now. So this is what we've been preparing for, and this is what we got to get ready for. So we're excited about getting back on the horse and getting another shot here, and see if we can't take that next step. So we'll open it up for questioning.
What did you guys learn most from the loss on Saturday? What do you say?
Well, it's one where, again, the challenge was steep. We knew that going in. Watching the film, it wasn't a physical thing. It wasn't even an athletic thing. We needed to be in that type of game to know what that atmosphere feels like. And it comes down to making plays at critical times. You make a play here or there, and things could definitely turned out differently. So, you know, we were battling to stay in it. Going into the fourth quarter, we were still in it, still had a chance to go, and you know, we just didn't quite have the ability to finish the game, and that's what we've learned. We got to give ourselves more opportunities to have the finish that we want against probably the best team in the FCS.
Coach Wilford, you know, they played two quarterbacks. Youngstown State did on Saturday, and he hasn't decided yet who is going to start this week. Can you talk about the two different quarterbacks and maybe their different styles? You know, how they utilize each one?
Yeah, no, it's your typical. You know, it's very similar to the other schools that we've already played. One's more of a passer, one's more of a running threat. So you know, it's not anything that we haven't seen. Both have their strengths, and you know, both are very capable. Otherwise, they wouldn't be starting for Youngstown State. And both have had success on the course of the season. So we got to, and you always got to be ready for both quarterbacks. That's just the nature of any game, and you really start defending situations more than you do quarterbacks. So if it's a formation that is more pass friendly, you know, that's how you defend it. You're aware of who's at the quarterback, but usually you know, they change up their offensive style a little bit too, which kind of allows you defensively to, you know, make a natural adjustment without even, you know, having to rearrange anything.
You feel like this is a game where your secondary will be tested pretty good? They've had a number of big pass plays this year.
Well, I think we've been tested quite a bit. You know, you look at Eastern Illinois, you know, that was something that they were going to come out and throw the ball. Western Illinois, you know, another passing type offense that's been, you know, so we've been challenged. I don't think it's going to be the, you know, anything different than what we've been doing. You still got to defend the run. If you don't stop the run, then you're in for a long day. I think their talent on offense, they have 4 receivers that are returning from last year as starters, so their talent is pretty deep at the receiving core. They like to take shots, but every team likes to take shots at you, so you know, you're going to have to hold up against the deep ball, and you just got to find ways to get pressure on the quarterback so that those shots don't come back and hurt you. So it really goes back to a team concept, especially defensively, making sure that the pass rush is there to create some pass pressure, and the coverage is sound where you're not giving up anything easy.
And how confident are you in your pass rush right now?
Well, I think we're pretty good now. North Dakota State only threw the ball 13 times, so and we had 2 sacks on the course of the day. So I think that, you know, the pass rush is something that we've been pretty good at, and we got some good athletes up front, and again, that is usually dictated by, you know, what's happening in the game too. If we're playing from behind, naturally the team's not going to be throwing as much, and they're going to be running the ball at you. And if you're playing with the lead, you know, that's when you can really pin your ears back and let the guys up front go.
They have 3 new starters on their offensive line. You know, what kind of vulnerabilities have you seen there?
No, I wouldn't say any. You know, we're going into game 8 of the season, so, you know, in my mind, that's a full season under the belt right now. They've had good success. You know, watching their game against Illinois, their first game of the season, you know, they were 450 plus yards of offense. They ran the ball, they threw the ball, they did pretty much what they they wanted to do against the Big Ten teams. So, you know, then they played some teams that they should dominate, and they did. So, you know, and then this past week, Western Illinois got on top of them, and that was the, you know, they just had a bad start to the game, and you know, the game with Missouri State was very impressive. I mean, you talk about physical battle, you know, that's kind of what Missouri football's all about right there.
How different are the running backs, Dale, Martin, and Jody Webb?
They're actually pretty similar. You know, they're speed guys, good quickness. You know, they rely on those two pretty much completely. So there are times where both of them will be in the backfield together. They do have a fullback that comes in. He's a big horse, and most of the time they will use him as a blocking back, but they will also give it to him on short yardage, and that's where he's a very good hard-nosed north-south runner. And if you remember last year, that was one thing that we struggled with, was just stopping him on 3rd and short, 4th and short. You know, they were doing just handing off to the fullback. So, you know, that'll be a big challenge for us.
Do they typically run the 4 wide receivers and just the 1 back, or a fair amount of time they put 2 backs back?
No, they're actually, you'll see a lot of 2 tight end sets. You'll see they're multi-formational. They're not going to let you do anything to get too comfortable with a certain personnel set. So, you know, they'll be in their 10 personnel, which is a 4 receiver set, but they'll also be in a 12 personnel with 2 tight ends in. They'll be in 21 personnel with 2 backs in and a tight end. They'll be in 22 personnel with 2 tights and 2 backs. So they kind of keep you on your heels as far as their personnel grouping.
And your secondary likes to play physical. They have 2 receivers, Barassa and Williams, 6'4". Are those physical receivers? Are they really overly physical receivers? You watch them on film?
Well, they're good. I mean, they catch a lot of balls. They want to find ways of getting the ball to them. Again, they like to take the shots. You know, a lot of their run game is a perimeter-based game where they count on their receivers to do their stock blocks, which is basically their one-on-one, straight ahead type blocks. They have a screen system where they like to crack those guys and kick out with the running back. So, I mean, they count on their perimeter players to be a big part of their offensive game plan.
If you could talk about your own teams taking your deep shots, you know, is it fair to expect Mark to complete 50% of those, or a higher percentage of those?
Oh, if you're completing 50% of your shots, you should be in the next level. I mean, that's you're putting up a lot of points and you're putting up a lot of yardage. So you do need to complete them, but you know, 50% on your shots is probably a little exaggerated. So, but you just need to have a complete. And I don't want to put a percentage on it because it's just too difficult. You don't know what the coverage is like. If you got somebody wide open, naturally you want to be completing that ball, but that is not always the case. And I think you just got to watch on Sundays, and you'll see a lot of deep shots taken where it's not completed, and it's just it's not an easy throw.
Do you feel like you're doing everything? You know, you seem like you're getting separation at the wide receiver spot and getting open. Is there anything you can do offensively, think, to be more successful?
Oh, we think, you know, the shots are there. It's just we got to complete them. We got to make every now. You know, we got to get a couple of those. You get a couple of those, and now you know, you got a different concept. Have we done well on that recently? You know, specifically on I think you look at the 2 games we lost. You know, Purdue, we had a chance to complete on one, and we had a couple of chances against North Dakota State. You complete those plays, you know, you got a different ball game. So those are important to continue to do. If you don't complete those, then what the defense can do too is you know, stack the box more and be a little more aggressive against the run. So is that an element right now that we need to get better at? Yes, we need to complete a couple of those, and that can open up the game plan if you have some success with the deep balls. But those are not high percentage plays, otherwise you'd be seeing them all the time.
How is Kajana Evans? Left the game?
Yeah, we're checking. He was able to come back and play, and you know, we're hoping for the best, but we just got to wait and see here. There's going to be some medical evaluations today, so we'll wait until tomorrow.
North Dakota State they took away LeSteven and Tay, or neutralized them, how do you get them to be more involved, or, what changes what do you have to make there?
Well, I think that's offensively, with scheme, and you always want that, that's always the challenging part, putting together a game plan, making sure that the game plan is adaptable, and you have ways of getting the ball into your players' hands, and at the same time, you're trying to establish, other components where, the thing that we needed to do is get some north-south run game going to try to complement a few things, and that's always the challenge when you're playing a good defense. You need to take your shots too. While you take your shot and you don't get it, then a 2nd and 10. Now all of a sudden you're making a 2nd and 10 call instead of a 1st and 10 or 2nd and medium. So it's a we just got to basically be a little more successful in some of the conversions on 1st down, which will allow us to be able to do more with the offensive game plan.
Western's time of possession was pretty dominant in the second half. What did they do against their defense to hold the ball so long?
Well, I think that was more of the catch-up mode that Youngstown State was in. They were more passing, so I don't see it as a dominant, where Western Illinois, they got off to a 14-0 start, so that was the key for them. And then they basically maintained, that margin through the game, and Youngstown did a good job battling back, trying to give themselves a chance, to close the gap. But whenever they did, then Western was able to answer with a score of their own, and big plays were a big part of that football game.
Is the strength of their defense their secondary and their linebackers more than their front 7 necessarily?
Well, I'd say they got some experience. The 4 starters return, from last year with their secondary. Their linebacker core, pretty athletic. But they're pretty balanced across the board. And I just think that right now they, you look at what they did against Missouri State. It was extremely impressive, and that's what makes what Western Illinois do even more impressive, that they were going up against a pretty good defense.
Anything else?
All right. Oh, and practice tomorrow. I don't know, did you give them the information on that? 2 to 4. So I don't need to tell them.